Okay, so if you've ever gone down that rabbit hole of searching for a cheap flight, you've definitely seen them. All these different travel sites. And there's one name that pops up a lot, iWofly, promising prices that, often just seem a little too good. So we did a deep dive into the source material to figure it out. Is this a great deal or is it a systematic danger?
And that's the interesting part, because at first glance, everything looks completely legitimate. The site is professional, it says it's based in Hong Kong, and they're throwing around these huge numbers like 5 million passengers served, 300 airlines. And crucially, the booking process is fast. You pay, and bam, there's a confirmation email in your inbox instantly.
So it looks totally convincing on the surface.
Yeah.
Where's the first crack? What's the first red flag that you see in the customer data?
What's this complete split personality that the company has online. You look at a site like Trustpilot, for example.
A split personality.
Yeah, you'll see these glowing five-star reviews, everything was perfect. But they're sitting right next to hundreds and hundreds of these really detailed one-star warnings. And that proves that, yes, some bookings genuinely work. But a much, much larger group of people is hitting the same exact problems.
All right, let's unpack that common nightmare scenario then. The one that keeps coming up.
Okay.
So the traveler pays, they get a confirmation number, and it includes a PNR, a passenger name record. So they think they're all set. But then they call the airline to verify.
And the airline has zero record of the reservation. Nothing.
And that distinction is everything.
It is. It reveals the whole mechanism of how this fails. A PNR isn't an actual ticket. It's just a reservation, like a temporary hold on a seat. What the data shows is iWofly instantly generates that PNR, which confirms the reservation. But then they systematically fail to actually issue or pay for the final e-ticket.
So the customer is paying for a reservation that was never actually turned into a real usable ticket. And the complaints don't even stop there. We're also seeing flight times being changed with absolutely no notification to the customer.
And then, the second the traveler realizes there's a problem, the support just vanishes.
Ghosted.
Completely.
Huh.
We see a clear pattern here. Emails go unanswered. The customer chat function on their site is suddenly offline, even during their unstated business hours.
So it just begs the question, how do they survive? Why is a site like this still operating if it's failing so many customers?
Because they operate in a true gray zone. It's not a complete scam because that small percentage of bookings does work. And that gives them just enough legitimacy to keep going, which honestly makes them more insidious than an obvious fraud site.
And their whole defense is built on this plausible deniability.
Exactly. When your reservation fails because the ticket wasn't issued, they immediately blame processing errors. Or they blame the airlines.
So they point the finger at the airline.
And the airline confirms they never got the final booking request, and they point right back at iWofly. You, the customer, are just caught in this perfect circular fight.
Just stuck holding a confirmation number that doesn't actually exist in the airline system.
Right.
That risk-reward ratio is just terrifying. You might save, what, $20, maybe $50, but you're risking an entire trip, your vacation, an emergency flight, a business meeting. Showing up at an airport with a useless PNR is maybe the biggest gamble a traveler can take.
The clear takeaway from all this research is that accountability is everything. For any travel that's actually important, you really should book it directly with the airline or, use a big established travel agency.
One with a real person you can talk to.
Absolutely. The perceived value of saving such a small amount of money with these gray zone sites is just not worth the near certainty that something will go wrong.
So here's a final thought for you to mull over the next time you're staring at a price that seems almost too good to be true. At what point does the guaranteed certainty of your travel plans outweigh that small speculative discount? We'll catch you on the next deep dive.